from me, Romy Stach, and welcome back to another episode of Derech Eretz. Human health and flourishing are core values in the Jewish tradition, and the area of healing is vast and diverse. Dr. Jonathan Mach elaborates on the importance of a healthy mind, body, and soul.
Healing, specifically brain health. Jewish people throughout the ages, which is about 4,000 years now, have always put as a highest priority the brain. We don't really worry too much about the material. We worry more about the development of the brain. What do I mean by that? That education is the best way to lift a person, a family, a community, a nation from one lower socioeconomic status to another. For that to happen, your brain has to be healthy, not just free of mental illness, but actually optimizing brain health. Although I'm a psychiatrist, I like to see myself now more as a brain health optimizer. Optimization is getting your brain as healthy as possible. Of course, that includes healing if you have an illness. But even if you don't have symptoms of mental illness, you can always improve your brain. There are 7 ways to do this. Briefly, through adequate sleep, superfoods as nutrition, exercise and movement in all its forms, brain challenges, keeping your brain active with novelty and new ideas. Also the ability to decrease your stress, just to chill. Relationships, upwards, downwards, inwards, outwards, upwards with higher power, God, your spiritual that serves your purpose. Downwards is the earth, your body. Inwards is with yourself, and outwards is with a spouse, with external family, your village. And finally, and so important these days, is the ability to digitally detox. The screen is now a major cause of brain illness, and it's going to get worse. Americans, for example, spend more time watching their screen, interacting with a screen such as a computer, the laptop, their iPhone, the television, than they sleep. And we're already starting to see that gaming, video gaming, is seen as an addiction. And the way to do that is to actually go out and connect with nature. I've become very strong on this because many of us have what might be called a nature deficit disorder. Although it's not a psychiatric disorder, it has been shown that people who move away from nature and remain indoors most of their days, most of their lives, have low-grade depression, high anxiety, higher levels of stress. The Japanese have perfected it. They call it Shinrin-yoku, which means forest bathing. What that means is once a week, for about 2 or 3 hours, going out into the beautiful forests of Japan and renewing oneself. And now they've done medical research and found that people who do that on a regular basis, in other words, go out into nature every day for a few minutes, maybe once a week for a couple of hours, a few days, every few months, have shown to have lower blood pressure, decreased stress levels, better tolerance of sugar, glucose. Also the immune system, that is the part of the body that fights off cancer cells and bugs as viruses and bacteria, improve in what they call natural killer cells. These are cells that scavenge out all the cancerous cells that sometimes flow through our body. So to heal is not just to take a tablet or have a weekend at your favorite beach. You must have it as part of your lifestyle. Sleep, move, eat, challenging your brain, having times out, relationships probably being the most important. And then going out to nature, even if it's outside, just in your small garden, walking down the street amongst the trees, preferably in your local park for maybe 20 minutes a day, walking the dog, painting art, many ways to heal your brain. Because what really are you when you lose your ability to remember, to be mindful, to be present right now, to be aware of what's going on, and finally, to be creative. Because if you're not creative, you can't find alternative scenarios in the future to solve your current challenges. So healing is holistic, it's broad-based, and should be based in your 24 hours of your day.
In Sesotho, Rena Lalona means we are with you. The aim of the centre is to provide children who have lost their parents to AIDS with the necessary support so as to give them the chance to lead meaningful and fulfilled lives. Their aim is to meet the intellectual, emotional, spiritual, physical, and financial needs of each child using the arts as a medium of healing.
I was working for a group called Birth to 20. It's a 20-year following of children. And I noticed that the people who came to see me, the mothers, were not mothers, they were grandmothers, because all their children had died of AIDS. And they were bringing up the little girls, their granddaughters and grandsons. And there were hundreds of children who were growing up like that. And then I decided that I wanted to start something for children who come from a family which is torn apart by AIDS, some of whom may be HIV positive, and have nowhere to go in the afternoons, and have no way to overcome what has happened to them. And because my background of healing and my journey of healing has been through the arts, through dance, drama, singing, music, I thought I know how to help them in this way.
I came to Rena Lalona at the time I was 12 years old, 2006. I was doing my grade 6 at Nkwenkwezi Primary School. So our class teachers made us sign forms, and they told us that there's going to be a creative center for children who don't have any parents.
I had no money. I had no idea. But I had a friend in America called Tom Seeberger, and Tom was out here, and he said to me one evening, "What do you want, Michelle? What do you want to do with your life?" And I said, "I want money to start a center that's going to help children heal from the trauma of being HIV positive." And he said, "I'll get you the money, you get me the children."
People who don't have the means, and I mean educational facilities, and aren't given the opportunity, and in this new South Africa of ours, to make a real life for themselves. And that was the incentive for me to get involved in an organization that provides an opportunity for the people now to develop further and to see a future for themselves because they've developed.
The services that we have here at the center, we've got an arts program that includes drama, drumming, poetry, music, dance, and then we also have the psychosocial part. That is a part that is supported by social development, where kids do homeworks. We have caregivers who do home visits, school visits, and that's when we get to know if the program is working, because the caregivers will go out, work with the families, try to find out if the kids are doing well, and also will go to school and try to find out if the kids, the homeworks that we're teaching, is it working or not.
When you sing, you open your whole body, your whole chest, and your voice takes on a tonality of anguish. You're getting rid of the tension in your body. You're expressing yourself in some way. Dance. Most of our bodies are clogged because emotionally we're clogged all over the place, because all of us have tensions in our lives. But you get up there and you move your body, and you get out of that. You keep moving, you keep realizing, I have power. I have power to create a song. I have power to create a book, a story. Art. Even if you don't think you can draw, you just put your emotions on those papers and you look at it and you say, okay, I recognize me in that. If I can create this, what else can I create in my life? What job do I want to do? Where do I want to, where do I want to go to learn? So it helps you to clear everything and then to set you on a path for your life.
We have support from the community. For their kids being here, I think they love it and they love the center with all their heart, because any parent that has a child in here, they come and they dwell in this place. They feel it's a home. So it's like that. The support that we have from the community, it's big, it's huge, and we are one.
So when I thought of HIV/AIDS, H is the heart. We are here to develop our heart. We are here to free our heart. And we are here to learn to love other people. I is identity. I'm here to find out who I am and why I've been placed on this world and what it is I have to do. And V is my vision. Where am I going to go and how am I going to give back? And AIDS is taking it upon myself to continue helping people as I have been helped.
Yes, I come back and teach the children here and just give them love and show them some love. There are plenty of things and too many things that are out there. The world is not just where they are, but they can go somewhere with their lives. Their background, it doesn't determine their future. But whatever that you do, it carries on. And if you do it with love, it shows. Results, they always, helpful.
We have to, as board members, and that's very much a passion of mine, is to make sure that it has the resources, the money, and the people, and so on, to keep as a viable and sustainable organization that helps the children. And it's been such a pleasure being, seeing the activities they do and how happy they are and how involved they are, that they're part of this and that they've got activities to do. It's a very rewarding to my soul to see that.
In 2006, I lost my girlfriend, and because Michelle has got this psychology, she was the one who was counseling me. I was like torn apart, and through that we get to know each other, and the bond started from then up until now. I see her almost every week. We call each other. If we don't see each other, we make it a point that we go for lunch, so we're forever together.
Sometimes when you meet people, there are people that you meet, they become source of your life. You find people who are support structures in your life. You find people who are like good people. But Michelle, she's quite different. She has this, I don't know what to say, but she has this heart of giving a person a chance, that a person becomes a value to life. She makes your life, you see your life in it, and you become a person who says, I believe in this. And she's been created for giving, loving, expanding the wings of saying, you can be a person, you can do this. He gives this belief in you. He makes you to run with what you have to become the best in this world. So she's wonderful.
My Derech Eretz now is to focus on spirituality, is to reach the place of knowing that I am not the body, that I am soul, and that in soul I can still accomplish what needs to be accomplished through me, but it will be on a spiritual level.
Leora Ryken is the Executive Director of the David Lapkovsky Project. She co-developed an educational program to teach students about life in Eastern Europe before, during, and after the Holocaust, through the art of Lithuanian-Israeli artist David Lapkovsky. It was through art that David was able to heal himself from the horrors of the Holocaust.
My great-uncle was David Lapkovsky. He grew up in Vilna, Lithuania, the epicenter of the Jewish world. It was known as the Jerusalem of the North, and he was literally born with a paintbrush in his hand. The year was 1940. War had already broken out, and he was forced to enlist in the Red Army. He enlisted in the Red Army, and in 1942, he gets accused of so-called anti-Soviet activity. And he gets sent to the Lubyanka jail in Moscow, and he's there for 10 months. And then he is sentenced to Siberia. David uses his artistic skills to actually become the prison tattoo artist for the different gangs that existed in the prisons during those times. David returned to Vilna, and with his paintbrush, he starts painting the Vilna that used to be, and then he also paints the Vilna that is now completely destroyed. He comes to Israel in 1958, 1959. He has his first art exhibition, and it's critically very, very highly acclaimed. But emotionally, in the 50s, the 60s, even the 70s, nobody wanted to talk about the Holocaust, let alone look at these images of Jews being sent to their deaths. And they didn't really want to look at this old world, this old Vilna. People wanted to move forward. They wanted to build a new society. And David and Rivka were so devastated by society's reaction. They decided that they didn't want to commercialize it. They didn't really want to part or sell it. And they hoped that one day a generation would come along that really would want to look and view the art and learn from the art.
I think this is one of the most unique stories that I've heard about the Holocaust or the World War II or anything. I've never seen anything like this, and I think it's amazing what he did, and I don't think he realized how much of an impact he's had on so many people's lives.
His art is a visual diary. It's the most intimate portrayal of not only what he experienced in prison in Siberia, in solitary confinement. The emotion is so raw and so naked and so real. And drawing this allowed him a sense of healing. And we know that art is just an incredibly therapeutic, cathartic means of delving deep into yourself, what happened, and being able to express it and let it go.
I went to a David Lapkovsky art exhibition last year, and I invited Leora to speak at my school because I thought that she was a dynamic presenter, and she thought I took initiative in this, so she made me an international ambassador for the David Lapkovsky Project. And my job is to basically spread the word about David Lapkovsky and his art.
We developed an educational program where we go into schools, we go into organizations, and we've had the pieces of art replicated onto canvases. And we share the canvases, and it's all set out around the classroom. And when students come into the classroom, we ask them to look at the art and to go to a piece that either they just like, or that resonates, or that speaks to them in some way.
Art isn't just paint on a canvas and you just look at it and you're like, wow, the artist is very talented. We really had a workshop that showed us how to look deeper into the meanings of the paintings and the emotions of, you have to feel something. You can't just see a painting, you have to feel it.
And the different groups start to form. And without any introduction or any background, we ask them to look at the piece of art. What are they seeing physically? What are they seeing emotionally? What do they think is going on in this picture? What do they think the artist is trying to tell us? And then we build on, this is the historical context, this is the personal context, this is what is going on.
When we first were told what we thought about the paintings, it took a little bit of time to verbalize exactly how we felt about the paintings, but when we actually sat down and discussed it all together, we realized that there's very prominent aspects in the painting that really catch your eye.
So after every workshop interactive experience with the student, it culminates in an exhibition to the larger community. So it's not just about doing a project-based program or multidisciplinary that includes the history and the art. It's also about exposing this to a larger audience where the students become the docents, and as docents, they educate their community, their peers, and their family.
So this painting is a symbol of the beginning to the end of the war. On the left-hand side, it is very light colors and the pupils are dilated to show hope and optimism. And on the right-hand side, it's very dull colors and it's almost like an aged woman because she's been through so much. And this is almost pessimism as she's in despair. If you look at the background throughout the painting is the same. It's all gray because although it's almost different people on showing different emotions, they've gone through the same thing, but they're dealing with it in different ways through hope and despair.
Another very prominent aspect were their hands. Everyone in the painting seems to be holding on to something, so either themselves or their children or their people beside them. And we thought that this could symbolize them holding on to like their very last bit of hope and holding on to whatever life they have left in them and thinking that we can get through this if we just are together and unite as one.
I love that question about Derech Eretz. The word Derech, journey, way, this really is, it's a personal journey, but it's a lot larger than that. Why am I doing it? I feel it's so important, one, to share David's art, but also to educate about our history as Jewish people, to educate this generation, the next generation about the Holocaust, about how we used to live, but also to do it in a very impactful and meaningful manner.
Writer and retired pediatric surgeon Dr. Bernie Siegel said, "One's attitude towards oneself is the single most important factor in healing and staying well." We would love you to be part of the conversation, so share your views and stories on our Facebook page, Derech Eretz Connect. From me, Romy Stach, and the Derech Eretz team, remember, healing is the journey, the destination is yourself.